Bar owners, today I want to help you understand classification that insurance companies use so that you can understand and anticipate how expensive your insurance premiums are going to be. Now, this isn't going to be a guaranteed video where I tell you if you're this, you're going to pay this. Let's learn about it. Let's watch the video. Let's understand how these insurance companies think about your business, and maybe you'll learn something today. My name is Lars Christensen, aka the insurance agent. I specialize in the hospitality industry where I broker insurance for nightclubs, bars, and live music venues. And today, let's go over business classification. So, first thing to understand there are two types of markets, right? We have hospitality-specific programs, MGAs, that have a specific pen for one carrier and write and manuscript specifically for the hospitality industry. And then we have what we call larger conglomerate carriers who have a book of business that's a portion hospitality, but they also write all sorts of insurance risk, okay? So depending on the state, depending on your business, you may fall into one or the other. We are always looking to put you with a hospitality specific program first. And a lot of times the reason is that they really understand the industry. And so when claims happen, they have more bulldog defense teams to make sure that those are not settled on large payouts and sit on your loss runs and hike your rates up. Remember, we're always thinking long-term about your brand, about your business, and keeping your insurance costs down. And we already know it's going to be expensive to start. So let's talk about classification and what you should do, what you shouldn't do. What you should do is you should always be honest with your insurance agent. Why is that important? Because the information that you give me is the information that I need to take to the carrier to win the business for you. They would rather decline a risk than take on the risk. And so my job is to know everything about your business operations, properly classify it, and represent that information to the carrier so that you can be accepted and we can get you the most competitive coverage at the best rate possible. What you don't want to do is tell me that you are this, maybe saying I'm a restaurant, and then it be inconsistent with what is going on online where they can see that you are booking events where DJs are coming in and there's a lot of entertainment. Look, if you're going to have entertainment and you're going to use that to bring more money into the door, you have to understand that it's going to come at a higher cost, and it's your job to determine what kind of operation you want to run. So let's start at a low risk and we'll end at a high risk, and we'll discuss the classifications and the types of carriers and markets and the guidelines that they go by, and the way I would look at it. And again, this isn't guaranteed, but lower risk usually going to be paired with lower premium, higher risk, higher premium. Makes sense, right? So lowest risk in hospitality for us, let's start with a restaurant, okay? Your restaurant, you're mainly serving food. You're probably lower risk because you are not getting people extremely intoxicated, right? They're there for food. You're probably at a higher risk of a fire happening than maybe somebody drinking and driving and kill somebody. Now, that's not always the case. It happens with restaurants a lot, okay? Think about it. You're lower risk, so there are more carriers willing to compete for your business, and premiums are typically going to stay lower for that type of business, okay? Then you move into, let's call it a bar and grill. A bar and grill is going to be, the way that I describe it is going to be where your ratio of food to liquor is maybe a 50-50 or a 40% food, 60% liquor, right? So you're serving more liquor, so there's a higher chance of, liquor liability claims to happen, but you still have a lot of your customers coming in, to eat meals, and typically, when there's food in the system with the liquor, you're lowering that risk. You move into now a new category, right? There are hospitality-specific markets that like or have this appetite for your type of risk. let's say you have no entertainment. They may like this business and they may want to compete for it. Typically, it's going to be higher premium than one of a restaurant and lower of one that may be a bar, tavern, lounge, or a nightclub. Okay, let's kind of move lateral with a local bar or tavern. So maybe you're similar place, you don't have security, you don't have entertainment, but you're not serving food, okay? You're only liquor. Depending on the carrier, depending on the state, you could be in the same range of premium, but most of the time you're over that 70% food to liquor ratio, right? You're probably going to move up a little bit in premium. Now, you don't have security, you don't have entertainment. That may keep things low. And then let's move into whether a bar and grill has both of those. So as soon as you start adding entertainment, you increase a risk of slip and fall because people are just dancing. Also, entertainment tends to bring more people through the door and keeps people longer at the bar to increase their alcohol intake. So that increases risk, that increases your premium. There are carriers that may say, okay, we like this because you are only offer entertainment twice a week or, only on the weekends. And maybe you just have one security guard at the door. Okay, we're used to this risk. We've seen this pattern. We'll still write your business. Once that becomes 3 or more times a week on the entertainment, or maybe over one security guard that's just checking IDs at the door, you're now moving into, maybe you're not a nightclub, but you're a bar with entertainment, right? And you're starting to move towards that nightclub direction. Okay, maybe we call it a lounge or a bar with entertainment. Now you've increased your risk a lot, and you've now moved from this set of carriers guidelines to now a slimmer set of carriers guidelines who say, hey, look, we're willing to write this risk. Here's our minimum premium, or here's what it costs. You're going to pay more when you have more security and you have more entertainment, and you become a late night venue. So what is the highest risk? Highest risk is typically going to be your nightclub. You're open till 4 a.m. Maybe you've got DJs playing. Let's be honest with ourselves. Nightclubs bring in more bar fights, a lot more assault and battery claims, and people do shots. They get intoxicated. They may get in their car and they may hurt somebody. So that's an important way to think about the classification. And what's really important is that, again, going back to the beginning, is that you are being very consistent with what you are telling your agent and the insurance carrier and what is being presented online. Because what we see happen a lot are a lot of bar owners like to say they're one thing to get their insurance premium down, okay? And what happens is they get a policy bound. They see the numbers. Maybe they're $20,000 less than what someone like me would quote you because I think your operation's different. Then an inspection happens. They come to your bar and they say, okay, this isn't what we were told, and they cancel your policy. Now, that insurance company is going to keep what is called 25% minimum earned. So that money, forget about it. You are not getting that money back. Now you need to scramble to find someone like me to properly represent your business with a carrier that will write your operations. You'll need to come up with another down payment. It is going to be on a more expensive policy. It could be $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 more. And you are going to wait months from that other insurance company to pay you back. And now you're running into a cash flow problem, and this may hurt you with sustaining business and making payroll. So this is why it's really important to be as accurate as possible and classify your business properly. Look, these underwriters, these insurance carriers, they are not dumb people. I can't even tell you how many claims we've seen, let alone the carriers. They've seen it all. They're not buying it, right? And that's what's really important, especially if you are a new bar owner, is to just be accurate and understand that this is where the marketplace is. There are very limited carriers that are willing to write specific classifications. And as soon as you start trying to get around that and create patterns of misbehavior, it's going to hurt you in the long run. So be honest with your agent. Make sure that everything that is happening online, in your reviews, in your Instagram posts, on your Facebook, is consistent with what you are telling your agent and putting on the application for your insurance. It will only help you in the long run. It may cost you more because you are offering entertainment, you have security, but if that is the nature of your operations, you need to make sure that is what you are telling the company. Now, if you found this information informative or you have questions, you want to review your situation, my information is below, and hopefully you can find me in another video. Please like and subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you next time.